Thank you, Rob. Thank you all for coming to this event today. It's really important, and you're about to witness great artistry. Josh McLawhorn is an Emmy Award-winning videographer and editor, and before I let him speak for himself, I hope you will allow me to say just a few things. First of all, I want to thank some people that made this trailer and ultimately the film possible. First of all, Sandy Saflin. Sandy got on board with the idea from the first moment we talked about it, and he connected us to some very important stakeholders. Thank you, Sandy. One of them is a man who's a philanthropist by the name of Mike Campbell, and he could not be with us today, but you'll learn more about Mike. I also want to acknowledge the institutions of higher education, without whom and their research we would not be able to produce this film. They include Florida State University, who's working on a grant from the National Science Foundation. It includes the University of Florida, who's working with a grant from the Fish and National Wildlife Foundation. There would certainly be no story without them. We'll also be working with Florida A&M University and Bethune-Cookman, who are doing research on microorganisms that affect oysters. We also work with LSU and Auburn, who frankly broke the ice with regard to oyster research from some people's perspective. There are no credits in this trailer. It has been said that it takes a village to raise a child. It takes more than a village to create a film. So I want to share with you that to date we have completed 20 interviews. We have filmed in 14 locations. We have flown the drone in 5 wonderful geographic areas. And we are only about halfway done with our pre-production. There are many of you in the room who participated in those interviews, and you will not see yourself in the trailer. That doesn't mean that you are not part of the film. It's only 2 minutes. Sorry. Some of you are not in the film, but you have supported the project financially or emotionally, including 300 volunteers that put 30 tons of recycled oyster shells back into Sarasota Bay. So I want to thank Hope and Lloyd Childry for connecting us to Waste Pro and allowing us to recapture a very significant recycling initiative. And I also want to thank my girlfriends who listen to all my whining and the production progress. Most importantly, I want to thank my husband who supports every wild and crazy dream I have and has done so for nearly 40 years. So with that, Josh McLawhorn.
Well, I just want to echo the gratitude that we have for everyone who supported this film and made it possible for us to tell this very, very important and timely story. So often when we hear about the changes happening to our planet, we hear about the concentration of CO2 and methane gas in our environment. We hear about ice caps melting. There are these things that are abstract or that we're removed from by a big distance, but what's happening to Apalachicola Bay and these other estuaries is really our local canary in our mind. And a lot of the people we've talked to in this project have said, we need to do things now that are going to bring back the environment for my grandkids. Well, I'm 29, and I don't have any kids, and I certainly don't have grandkids, so to me that is really the essence of good stewardship, is planting a tree, so to speak, that you will never be able to enjoy the shade of. So just thank you for everyone who's helping make this film possible, and we hope that it creates a spark to create the buy-in that we need from the big, powerful entities like government, like industry, restaurants, and even individuals. And we just really hope this film will make a difference. Thank you.
produce upwards of 10 to 20% of the entire U.S.'s oyster economy came from that single bay. But oyster resources all around the world, including the bay, have collapsed.
These are 3,000-year-old reefs, and they've all gone belly up in the last 30 years. This is a powerful indication that we need to really do something about freshwater management. We're going to lose all this if we don't do that.
We've got a food security issue. If the ocean isn't providing us with food, we've got to get it from somewhere. We'll get it from land. We're cutting down forests. We're losing those ecosystems. There has to be a limitation to that. If we keep crashing these ecosystems by not protecting them and overexploiting them, we're going to be in a really bad way food-wise.
Clearly our planet is changing, and we're having population growth all over the planet, which means more pollution. We have to find solutions for the environment that are going to work. And what I have found is that sometimes the simplest solutions are the best.
I mean, what you want is thousands of tiny robots to go out and solve your big ecological problems, right? And in many cases, we already have them. We have these little oysters. It's hard to build a filtration plant that would be as cost effective as an oyster reef. You know, we don't have to pay them to grow. We just have to create the right conditions.
One of the biggest things that oysters do, it's the same thing our mangrove shorelines do, they help protect the shorelines and the coastal areas from storm damage. So when you have storm surges, when you have wave impacts, a lot of those things are broken up by having that hard bottom, by having those living shorelines. The more area you have covered by these animals, the more the waterways are able to take care of themselves.
The earth itself is an aquarium that we require to live in. We have to have a sustainable environment for humans to survive and thrive. So protecting natural resources is critical to protecting our oxygen supply, our food supply, our land and water.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that maybe we need to replace that to get that benefit back that we didn't even know we had when we had billions and billions of oysters around the coast of Florida. We want that wild oyster population to come back, and we're doing everything that we can to make that happen.
That's Academy Award winning stuff right there.